Fishing in the desert. Come in 3, 2, 1. Hi, have you found yourself fishing in the desert? Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? Mark Hewitson here with 3, 2, 1. Hi, have you found yourself fishing in the desert? Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? Hi, I'm Mark Hewitson here with Gem Business Development. I want to thank you for taking a moment to watch our short video. Today we're going to talk about folks that are fishing in the desert. I picked up this example a few years back and I love what it teaches. It really makes sense when you step back and you look at the big picture. I hope that it'll touch you in the same way it touched me. Imagine that your whole life, since you were very little, you'd been taught to go fishing in the desert. At a very early age, you notice that your parents wake up very early in the morning, every single day at 6 a.m. They go out, they grab their fishing poles, and they head out into the desert to go fishing. And as you grow up, you find out that every day, they take a break at the exact same time. They go to lunch at the exact same time, and a lot of times they're not even hungry, and then they come home. And they complain about how bad the fishing was in the desert that day and how much they hate fishing in the desert. They seem to be so angry their whole life. But as you get older, they come to you and they say, well, here's what you got to do. You have two choices. When you turn 18, you have two. Here's what they do. They come to you. No, that's not right. However, when you turn 18, they come to you and they tell you, you have two options. Number one is you can go out and you can just start fishing in the desert. You've learned from experience. You can see how to do it. But better yet, you can actually go to school and you can really learn how to fish in the desert. It's your choice. So what happens? You decide to go to school and you become an educated. You decide to go to school and you think, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to be an educated fisherman in the desert. Now there are others that say, I don't need the schooling. I've seen everything that everybody's done and I can actually go out and start fishing in the desert today. It can't be all that hard. One day, and after you graduate from school, you now are an educated fisherman for the desert, and you start your job, going out fishing in the desert every single day. And you go out every single day to fish in the desert because that's what you're trained to do. You've got your pole, you got your fishing, and it's as miserable as your parents made it sound. Plus, it's hot out here, and you keep thinking to yourself, what am I doing? But then this guy comes along and he looks at you, and he says, what are you doing? And he's laughing at you. At first you get offended because, after all, you are a professional desert fisherman. So you tell him, I'm a professional desert fisherman. And he says, you know what? And he asks, how's that going for you? And you say, of course, not that good. And he asks you, how's that going for you? And you say, not that good. He says, you know what? I've got something new going on. Maybe I should share it with you. But you're not so sure because you're trained and you're working in your professional field. Besides which, your parents were fishers. Besides which, your parents used to fish in the desert. All your brothers and sisters fish in the desert. In fact, everyone you know fishes in the desert. You even went to school for this and you're working in your field of study. There can't be anything different. But he keeps coming by every day talking to you about this new thing going. And he keeps coming by every day talking about this new thing that's going on. Finally you say, okay, what's it all about? And he says, look, instead of fishing in the desert, we're fishing in the ocean. What? Fishing in the ocean? How does that work? He says, well, listen, I've got a website. He says, listen, I've got a website I want you to go to. Take a look at the short video, and if you're interested, give me a call and I'll show you some other folks that are fishing in the ocean. And if you're interested, I'll share with you exactly how fishing in the ocean works. So you watch the video, you give him a call back, and he says, look, we're having a meeting Tuesday. He says, look, we're having a meeting Tuesday at 7:30. Why don't you come over and I'll introduce you to some of my other friends who are fishing in the ocean. And I'll introduce you to some of my other friends who are fishing in the ocean. You decide to go ahead and go, and you show up at the meeting. You're a little bit reluctant because you see all these people are really happy. You start finding things that are very unusual. You start feeling, you show up reluctantly, and you see all these people who are really happy. You don't know. You show up reluctantly and you see all these people who are extremely happy. It's strange, you don't know why, but you have it's strange, and you don't know why, but you have the biggest urge to leave. I've got to get out of here. These people are way too happy. You haven't been around happy people. You've always been around people that grumble. You haven't been around happy people. You've always been around angry and upset people who hated their job fishing. You haven't been around happy people. You've always been around angry and upset people who hated their job fishing in the desert. So this guy comes up to the front of the room and he starts explaining everything, and pretty soon you start seeing other people who have been fishing in the desert come along with, you start seeing other people who have been fishing in the ocean coming up to the stage with these huge fish. And you think to yourself, wow, last week I caught a rock. That fish is definitely looking better than my rock. This is pretty interesting. So what happens next? You start asking, so how do I fish in the ocean? What do I need to do to get started? What do I need to do to start? What do I need to do? What do I need to do to get started fishing in the ocean? And he says, it's really simple. All you have to do is, and he lays out a plan. So I hope you see the analogy between work and fishing in the desert. So my question to you is, are you fishing in the desert? So my question to you is, are you fishing in the desert, or do you want to fish in the ocean? Fishing in the ocean works. It's no longer a question of whether network marketing works or not. This business has been tried and true, and it's lasted a long time. It's no longer a question of whether this new way of doing business will work. The real question is, are you willing to work it? Think about this. Normal people who fish in the desert have normal jobs. They have normal pay. They have a normal lifestyle. They have normal retirement. And that usually includes working as a greeter and that usually work. And it is normal for their retirement to include working as a part-time greeter at the store. And it is normal for their retirement to work. And it is normal for their retirement to include working part-time as a greeter at the store after age 65. Let me show you how and why fishing in the desert works so well. It's really a no-brainer. You'll be amazed. But understand that those around you, but understand the people that are around you, they've been fishing in the desert their whole life, and they only understand fishing in the desert. They simply don't know any better, and it's not their fault. Their mothers, their fathers, they taught them from the time they were little to believe in Santa Claus, to believe in the Easter Bunny, to believe in the Tooth Fairy. But then they grew up. But then when they grew up, they were told to go out and get a job. And then when they grew up, they were told to go out and get a job. That's the way it's always been done. Now when you got older, you found out that Santa Claus doesn't exist. The Easter Bunny's not real. And the Tooth Fairy is just plain silly. And now you've just found out that your job is not the key to your financial success. Business ownership is. Now let's make some real money, building our dreams and not those of the CEO or vice president of some other company. Trust me, those guys don't love you or your family as much. Trust me, those guys don't love you, your family, or your dreams as much as I do. Remember, stop fishing in the desert. There's no fish there. Come and join us. Go to my website, gemathome.com, watch the short video, and then give me a call or communicate with me, and we'll walk the beaches of the world together. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. You have a wonderful day. Take care.